Hi, welcome to Book Date with You, episode 125. Today we are going to talk about this book, How to Hug a Porcupine, Easy Way to Love the Difficult People in Your Life. And this book is, let me see, written by uh,
Dr. Deb.
Dr. Debbie Jove Ellis, right? She is a licensed psychologist in Australia and a mental health counselor in New York. She is affiliated with several major psychological associations and societies, including being a member of the Australian Psychological Society and an international affiliate member of the American Psychological Associations. She has co-authored several books with her husband, Dr. Her late husband, Dr. Albert Ellis. She's currently has a private practice in New York City and also delivers lectures, workshops, and seminars throughout the US, and across the globe. Today we are going to listen from Joyce. What's this book about?
Wow, thank you so much. This book is a easy digest book. It's not a very big book. It's a teen one, all right? So this book reminds us about this very important one is we all human, we have the capacity to create our attitude, our emotions, as well as our actions. This is a very important key because we want to maintain the inner peace despite all the difficult outer circumstances. This is one very important thing that I'm constantly working on is about inner peace. Because we all want to have inner peace and harmony, isn't it? So this one that definitely can help us to prevent unnecessary suffering. So this book, there is one sentence from this book. I love it so much. It is about no one can upset us unless we allow them to. Yes, because we are responsible to our own emotional well-being. There will be no one, remember that, no one can actually upset us. When you read this sentence, try to sink in the moment to feel that, how important this sentence to us. And then life is brief. Time is so precious. That is, instead of wasting all the time to defense, to have the anger, to have the fear, it's very regretful. So let's do and choose this instead. This is what this book say. Practice patience, empathy, compassion, kindness, understanding, and unconditional acceptance. I think this is so much important because this book is a tool. They have so many effective tools to help us to take care of our emotional and also our mental well-being. So let's start with us why this talking about hugging the porcupine. The porcupine have all the quills, the sharp quills that's going up.
Mhm.
So the reason they use this analogy is because when the porcupine are threatened, so the muscle below the base of the quill will tighten. When it tighten, so the quill will go up and it will become bigger and sharper so that they can defend themselves from all the people, the predators that comes to them. So that's the reason why they use Dr. Debbie used porcupine in this book. So that's the nature and the being of this porcupine. So let's talk about how we can deal with the porcupine. This book, they actually, Dr. Debbie separate into a few different categories to dealing with the different people, can be from our friends or our co-workers, from those close to us like kids and parents, spouse. So, but I feel like whoever we deal with, there are ways that are so we can interrelated to use it. So I try to summarize it into different categories. So to share with you all at one whole flow. Okay. So first is about ways how to deal with it. So Gideon, just feel like I want to ask you. So when you have that difficult, moment with whoever, can be your coworkers, can be your spouse or your friends or whoever, what do you call this difficult moment? What do you call? Give a
Um,
name like argument.
Maybe in work, I will say in working place, I will call it misalignment.
Okay.
Maybe at home, maybe call misunderstanding or different expectation.
Okay. We all have our language. So in this book, Dr. Debbie mentioned about, instead of calling it argument, because a lot of people will say this is an argument because come back and forth, right? So she suggests to call it as a disagreement.
Agreement.
I think this is a very good words, because when we call it as a disagreement, we invite people to come into discussion. We open up for a chat, to talk about it, rather than argument, which means that argue. We constantly argue, right? So I think having the language sweet sheet, it really opens up our our brain, our mind towards a whole new level of things. For example, back then I was a girl that loved to talk about I have a problem. Until now I changed it to another language is I have a challenge. So
Yeah,
it's like one of the steps that I know that I can overcome it slowly. I will take my time to deal with that rather than I have a problem. Problem is more on the negative terms that is like it's hard, it's difficult for me to deal with that. So having to change their language, saying and calling it as disagreement, that's really helpful. So next is learning to know about your porcupine's warning sign. So the porcupines in your life can be all the people around you. So knowing their warning sign is that they were going to shout, they were going to use a very harsh words, or they were going to say in a very aggressive way. Knowing the warning sign can really be very helpful. So next will be about respecting. So when you know their warning sign, respect their boundaries. Respect their boundaries will really help you to keep them from lashing out. And then you we all need to be very considerate to know about the needs and the fear of the porcupine. So what are the needs and the fear of the porcupines? For example, they might have some past injuries. So when they have some past injuries, some traumas, that is very hard for them, so that if we understand them more, we can relate to them more so that we can have that empathy. Empathy is the best strategies when you're dealing with your porcupine. It's not going to be easy when we talk about empathy. You need to really understand them, put them in their shoes so that you can see a complete new lens from their eyes, the perspective. So this is something like from the book Dr. Debbie mentioned. It's easier for us to approach them if we actually understand the real needs and fears of the porcupine. And then find the soft spot of the porcupine. Every porcupines have their soft spot. The animal porcupines, the soft spot is at, just want to check out. Gideon, you have the answer.
okay, myself what?
The animal, right? Do you see the animal that
I
what?
don't know what they call chest.
The belly.
Belly. Belly.
The belly, yes, the belly is the porcupine's soft spot. So every one of us, we have our soft spot. So find the soft spot, it definitely helps you to better communicate with them. So when you are in the heat of disagreement with the porcupine, it's better to stop, which means that find, take a pause, then take a moment, calm down everyone, and then before you continuing with that. So next will be Another question for Gideon. A lot of surprise question for Gideon today. What is the best, sweetest sound that you can hear if someone talk to you? If someone talk to you, what is the sweetest sound that you want to hear or the words that you love?
Oh, I think everyone likes their own name.
Yeah. It's like sweetest sound or the words that you want to hear is actually our own name. If you use with the right tone, the tonality, it really helps your porcupine to soften. And then you invite them to talk, to communicate. That's why you try to speak, let the porcupine to talk, because the best way to deal with them is to let them speak out what actually gets their quills up. What makes them disagree on something or makes them so frustrated. Let them talk it out. So we ask questions. We don't assume things. So a lot of people, including me back then, I love to have a lot of assumption, which is totally not okay. When you're having a lot of assumption, that will comes out with a lot of more argument with that. So ask questions and then don't interrupt. Let them talk. Let them speak whatever they want, and then you listen properly. When you listen, it's really, really help you to be to understand them, that you have more information so that you can offer a solution. So this is part of the communication skill that Dr. Debbie shared in the book. So next part, she also shared about this one. I feel like this is a very valuable piece that I learned from Dr. Debbie is explain your value. So Gideon, check with you. What are your values? If let's say you want to communicate with me, with someone, right? So what is the value? And I remember that you shared with me before. I know that. I still remember. So what is your value that I think it's important for you when you want to communicate with others? So you want to share your value with others first and to set your little boundaries first before, the porcupine will get the quill up. What is your
I think
values?
I value, yeah, I think I told you before, it's like the number one is respect. So either respect your time, respect your value, respect your culture, respect your, thinking. Yeah. So number one is respect.
Yeah. Whether it's the respect, whether it's the integrity or patience or whatsoever, it's our own value, right? So we need to communicate our value with other people. So it's just like Gideon, he communicated with me about the value of one of the very important is for respect. For Gideon, it's like time is very important.
Then respect each other time, not
Yeah.
only your time, the
Yes,
person
the
time.
other time. So he would never be late for any appointments, even in Zoom. He will be the earliest one to arrive. So this one is like when we communicate our value, our needs, our boundaries clearly to the porcupine, that actually set as a very great ground for everyone to communicate further. So this one, I think I learned the most from this book is about value sharing, and then explain and explore each other value. It's so important. And then next, it's more about sharing our vulnerability. It is perfectly okay, when you want to build that trust, that kind of relationship together with especially the porcupine. It is okay to share your own vulnerability. So can be the best way to go with that. And then you need to choose the time to talk. And for me, I love to add another one, not from the book, is choose the location. Not just about the time, the location is so important as well. If it is not right, the location, it can burst out even more disagreement from there. So the last point I want to bring out is this one. If you have any porcupine in your life who has a better, authority on you, for example, parents or any like grandpa, grandma, who exert more authority to you, the kind of people you need to understand this is that was then, this is now. No matter how authority they can be back then, but that was then. This is now. So we need to set up a little bit of our our boundaries when we talk to this porcupine. So the last ever sentence and the last page for this book is talking about this very important key is when it comes to successfully interacting with your porcupine in your life, it is crucial that you start with the one that you know best. Who is this person?
Yourself.
Yes, this is you yourself, right? So we all have our, the things that we need to improve on, our weakness, our I would say our own homework for our life. So that's the thing that we need to move on and learn more. And then only then we can deal with the porcupines in our life. So there are so much more ways from this book because it's simple, easy to read because it's small little chapters, sentences, a paragraph that you can always go and explore. And then I'm so glad that I finished this book. And get very important lesson from the book while I'm dealing with a lot of quills, a lot of porcupines sometimes in my life. So let us know what is the best way that you use to deal with your porcupines in your life right now. And see you in the next episode.